given the differences which are there within this grouping, how do you plan to bridge it? How do you propose to bridge it?
BRICS will strengthen itself and making the right decisions. For example, when President Trump imposed universal tariffs to all countries, I had a BRICS meeting through teleconference so that we can make a statement that it was not correct, the behavior of the President of the Republic, like the U.S. President, to impose in a unilateral tariffs. And I think that the BRICS made it clear about Gaza too. BRICS also made statement about Russia and Ukraine, because we condemn the invasion, the territorial invasion of Ukraine. We condemned very strongly all the killings that happened and genocide in the Gaza Strip. And that's why it serves the government. BRICS serves for the, besides increasing trade. We had the IPSA before BRICS. IPSA was India, Brazil, and South Africa. IPSA.
Right.
IPSA.
But
for example, I said already to Prime Minister Modi that the relationship between Brazil and India, it has to be very strong. I made the first strategic agreement between Brazil and India in my first term. And now in this trip here, I want to reinforce my relationship with India. We're bringing 300 businessmen and women from Brazil. There's more than 300 businessmen and women from India in the business forum tomorrow that will meet. Our cultural, political, trade, and economic relationship to be very strong. We want to learn with India, and we want to teach what we can ever teach to India. We want to sell and buy. We want to show our experience of our companies with the Indian companies to make joint ventures and partnerships. Brazil can have only $15 billion of foreign trade with India. We need to get to $30–40 billion of trade because of the size of our countries and the economy.
And are you quantifying it, that this is the amount that will come with the business delegation that has come?
Well, no one cannot buy what it does not know. So, when I decided to come to India and bring a big business delegation, strong delegation, is because we are highly interested to learn with the evolution that India is having on the space industry, on the defense industry, on the pharmaceutical industry. India has a lot to teach us, and we want to learn and exchange experiences. And for Brazil, because Brazil is also a great consumer market. Brazil is the only country in the world that has more than 100 million inhabitants, that has a single national health system, that has a purchasing power that is extraordinary for medication and pharmaceuticals to treat the health of the people, the government procurement. And we want India to get to know our potential so that the business sector of India could feel comfortable to make investments in Brazil, or to build partnerships. Our Embraer aircraft manufacturing company is going to open a manufacturing aircraft plant in India. This is what has to happen between Brazil and India. We just can't rely on the U.S. or rely only on China. We want that our economies grow, because if they grow, the trade flow will also grow, and it's going to be good for India, and it's going to be good for Brazil. And so we're the two largest democracies of the global south. And so we have to give good examples. And since my relationship with Prime Minister Modi is a very good relationship, it's very good, and I respect tremendously the governance of his administration. And I am sure that he also respects my governance in Brazil. And so we have to take advantage of this moment to make things happen, make it happen.
So, Mr. President, let's be more specific. Can BRICS then de-dollarize the global economy? She means the US dollar.
Well, let me say something to you. I respect very much the decisions that are made by the countries. I advocated that it's not necessary that a trade agreement between Brazil and India would have to be done with US dollars. What I defend is that we can use our own currencies. It's difficult. Yes, it is difficult, but we can try. No one has to rely on the dollar, but you can't also undo this system overnight. You have to take into account the difficulties of each nation. What I believe in concrete terms is that many goods, I'm not thinking about this now. For a long time I've been thinking about this. My first term in Brazil, we established with Argentina the purchase from small enterprises in Brazilian currency and Argentinian currency. This is a process that we have to discuss. What is more advantageous for a country, for Brazil, and what is more advantageous for each country that negotiates with other countries? Obviously, I understand the reasons of the Americans that they don't want to create other currencies because the dollar is the world currency, the strongest currency that we have in the world. And so I understand their concern. The bottom line is that they took over the strength of the dollar and they created an international currency that impacts any country. So we have also to take into account how we're going to do this. It's not a fantasy. It's not something that you can do overnight, but it's something that we have to start to think it over, and that Brazil and India could make their trade. Do we need the dollar? That's the question that we have to ask. Or can we exchange the trade with our own currencies? And so our business sector, everybody has to think about that, and let's see what is the best for us. We do not have to be locked of things to the past. Let's try to innovate and move to the future to see if it improves the living standards of our people. If it's not to improve the living standard, we won't do anything, but I believe it can improve our living standard.
Okay, that's a very important one, but you're talking national currencies and not a BRICS currency, something India is not has not been very keen on, or has been rather reluctant about.
No one proposed to create the BRICS currency. This is not the proposal. In no moment we said that we were going to create a currency. I think it was the Americans that mentioned that during President Biden's administration. What we want is to see, is it possible to negotiate with China, with Brazilian currency and with the Chinese currency? Is it possible to negotiate with Europe using European currency as a reference? That's it, if it is possible. And if our central banks, our Federal Reserves, and our finance ministries understand that this is possible and it could bring an advantage to the countries, and then you start to put in practice to see if this works. Only that. But there's no debates within the BRICS to create a new currency, the BRICS currency.
Okay.